giving you another daily dose of a jab. So before this video even starts, make sure you like it, comment down below and subscribe. Make sure you do that. It helps the engagement, it helps my channel, and it also puts it out there. Just in case, listen, you never know. This video could help someone. It could help you. It could help someone else. It can help a family friend. It can help your cousin, your nephew, your niece, your daughter, whoever. It could help anyone. And also, a lot of people nowadays, they're going through the academy process. They're also striving to be better people, better footballers. Mesh the two together, you got a recipe for amazing stuff. We're doing that today. We're making sure that we create better people and create better footballers. The video today, what are we speaking about today? We're speaking about, is it actually better from your childhood to have an upbringing of hardship and also trauma? You can add to that as well, because in a lot of cases with hardship becomes or comes trauma. Is it better to grow up in a situation like that rather than a normal life? In some cases, silver spoon for some. What is better for a footballer career? So I'm going to say, in a footballing career, what is better? So just to answer that question, I would say both. I'll give you the answer at the end of the video of obviously the details around it. But I think what is best is a mixture of both. However, two can be very detrimental if used in the wrong way, and it is having a big impact on your footballing career through your life. So I'll say it like this. For example, you've heard stories of Pelé, for example, how he's come up and he's come to stardom with a very hard life. It's grown up playing with apparently mango seeds as footballs and putting rubber together and stuff like that, creating footballs out of nothing. His dad working two jobs and this and that, all of these things, and he's become one of the best players, if not the best player of all time, right? So I can give other examples where Ronaldo didn't come from much. Cristiano Ronaldo, I'm talking about. I know Ronaldinho, for example, used to play barefoot and his dad was crying one day because he couldn't give him football boots, and he really wanted to give him football boots to further his career being a football player. I know I've just mentioned Portuguese and Brazilian players, so it could be a cultural thing, which I can get into in another video. But today we're just going to focus on hardship and also trauma. So I do think a big factor of how good you become is obviously based on that side of things. I also do think that can have a hindrance sometimes, because sometimes you might not be able to actually get to a level or get seen, for example, to actually make it as a football player. And that is very self-explanatory, where of course you might not have the finances to be able to consistently go on the bus, which a lot of footballers have had to have that journey where they go on a bus and they travel buses throughout journeys just to make it to training and go back, for example. So that is a very common circumstance when it comes to making it as a professional footballer. And then other circumstances where you have so much going on at home and in your personal life that it does affect you mentally. It can go two ways, innit? I think it can go some way where it spurs you on, or it can go the other way where it brings you down and obviously it holds you back. And a lot of people and a lot of teammates I've played with, they've come from a lot of traumatic backgrounds where unfortunately it hasn't really worked out in the best way and hasn't worked out in their favor, where it's spurred them on, it's probably held them back, because that trauma is a lot and you do need to be very mentally strong as a person to get through that. That's something that, as I've got older mentally, that is something that has improved in my life. I don't know if that's improved through experience or that's just improved through age and growth or just learning how life is, but it does help when you are mentally strong and you are able to get through certain experiences, because life is hard, and to add football to that is even harder. And the pressure of football, where everyone in your area expects you to become a professional footballer and they're all looking at you to be the guy. And then obviously some countries and some places, to become a professional footballer is crazy. Everyone is banking on you to become a professional footballer because you can change lives, literally. Look at Sadio Mané. He's just won the AFCON with Senegal, and his story is crazy. His family wanted to send him down a road of being a doctor or lawyer, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me, but something along them lines. And they said, no, do not play football. If you don't play football, you would have to leave the house. And he said, I'm leaving, I'm running away from home. And he did that, and he ended up making it at the highest level, winning Champions Leagues, winning AFCONs. And now the people around him are looking at him saying, thank God you made that decision. Otherwise, you would not be able to change our lives around you. And you are the reason why we are living a much improved life than we could have ever imagined, for example. So in some cases, of course, it does help when you do come from trauma. In some cases, it doesn't help when you come from hardship. So what is it like on the other end, for example, if you had a good background in terms of your upbringing and also you financially were okay growing up? I think sometimes it does give you an advantage, especially in this country. I see a lot of kids where they're actually having a lot of other one-to-one training, private training. They have a lot of time for their kids, and obviously they have a lot of time with their parents if you're talking about players, where mentally they're in a place where they're good. There's no trauma. If, God forbid, there's no domestic violence or anything of that, drug use or whatever. Not speaking about that, but I'm just talking about financially at this point. If you have that in place, then normally it's probably everything is laid out on the table for you. It's literally just down to yourself whether you have it in you, you have that dog in you, whether you are going to make it or not, right? So that's probably on a middle class level to upper class level in terms of society, whether you can make it as a professional footballer. I would also say on the flip side though, you haven't maybe been tested in life, and maybe mentally you haven't been tested, where obviously, listen, if you come from a certain background, it's no fault of your own. We're all brought into this world, and we didn't ask to be brought here. Literally no one in the history of Earth has asked to being brought to Earth, right? So take Eddie Hearn, for example. Eddie Hearn, they said he's come from a silver spoon background. He's very well off growing up, where he's gone to private school and he's been able to live a life on average, which is higher economically and obviously in class to a lot of people growing up and around him. However, he has done things that many people have never done in the world. And he's got that drive and that energy to spur him on and do things that many people haven't done. So maybe that is another mental thing that plays in your favor. If you use it in the right way, then you can also do great things in football, and you can also be a monster in terms of what you're doing on the pitch, mentally, physically. I would also say if you've come from a certain environment, and let's say financially, you tend to see more of the world naturally from experiences and also just things in what you've been told financially, for example. So you might not have maybe the money problems that other people may encounter later on because you've seen money before. All depends on the individual. I'm just going off in tangents here, and I'm just basically saying it can go either way. There's no, if you've come from hardship, then it works out in a better way for you, or it doesn't. Or if you've come from a middle class, wealthy background, you have all the tools to make it in football, and you have all the tools to be the best player possible, right? So to answer your question, coming from hardship, whether it be financially or whether it be some of your experiences in life, your childhood, or having a childhood where it's pretty much plain sailing and financially you've come from a family where they were doing okay, what is the better childhood to have to become the best player you can become? And Individually, it depends, but I think, controversially, coming from hardship teaches you things that you can never get having a certain childhood if you haven't experienced hardship. And of course, my childhood, I've experienced some hardships where people might look at as being like, oh, that's not that bad, or he had it worse, or whatever. But I've experienced some hardship, and growing up, I did see a spike in my performances through certain times because football was my outlet, and football was something where I was free. When I went onto the pitch, I didn't think of anything. Where in other cases, maybe that's the opposite. Maybe you go on the pitch overthinking. So it depends on who you are as a person, but the best players historically have come from the maddest backgrounds, the most poorest places that you could ever imagine. There's no way this person can make it. How did he make it? Oh my God, it's a miracle. I think, to be honest, the best players you'll ever see ever grace this earth will come from those type of environments.